All right. Well, after this, I'm sure you've got to shoot off, but otherwise I can smash you in chess in about 5 minutes if you like.
I have no idea about this game. Like, I don't even know what
The rules?
Yeah, nothing.
Surely you got caught up in what was the Netflix show? There was
Oh, The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch that. It was really interesting, but I don't know. I didn't even, I'm not even trying to try. One day.
One day. So your partner doesn't play chess then?
No.
Okay. Well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
The person that you spend most of your time with doesn't play it, then who are you going to play with?
Yeah.
I suppose someone at the hostel. Because are you working at the old fire station?
Yes.
And is that the sort of same place? Because it sounds like you've been there for a while.
Yeah, that's the hostel I checked in first as a backpacker. And then, I don't know, I spent all my time there. And then I started cleaning, like being the cleaning manager in January after hotel quarantine.
Okay, so you were doing a lot of deep cleans?
Heaps of deep cleans. Trying to anyway.
Did anyone ever figure out what a deep clean actually meant?
Well, I did, but the others didn't. They
really scrubbing hard, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Really hard scrubbing.
And you take everything out of the rooms, you take everything out of the bathrooms, and you just clean the hell out of it.
I feel like that was a lost opportunity for like a pine clean, like, those cleaning companies. Like, surely you just have the COVID Mortine bomb that you just like put into a room and it's like a grenade or something and it just like releases them. It's like it's fumigation for an hour. It's like, there's your deep clean.
Yeah.
Whatever's in there is going to be dead at the end of it. Hopefully everyone has evacuated before we started that. But.
That would have been helpful for sure.
So you literally, how many lockdowns did you go through?
I went through 1, 2, 3, but they were all really short. So my first one was when the borders just had like shut and no one was allowed to come in anymore. I was in the hostel and it was really hectic because obviously no one knew what was going to happen. And we had this meeting with the owner of the hostel and he was like, I do advise you all to go home. And we were all like, we've been there for 3 months, basically already a family. And he was just like, yeah, I think you should all go home because we don't actually know if we can manage this, No one knows what's going to come. Like, I don't know if I don't want to make you all homeless at some point, So we were all just like, yeah, whatever you say, we're going to stay. Like, we don't care. No one wants to go home. Like, why would we?
It's just a pandemic. Like, honestly, you'll blow over.
Yeah. I mean, it did.
Yeah.
That was 2 months of lockdown with 60 people.
So the family that was there probably became like the super family at that point.
It was unreal. Like, it was just love. There was nothing else, Like, we were all crying together. We were all laughing together, partying together. We were all working together. We were working for like a cleaning company that cleaned all the trains, like the train station around Perth. So they called the hostel and were like, we need like sanitizer people that walk around the train stations and clean the touch points.
Unreal.
How many people can you get? And there was like 20 of us. So we would all get on the train together, go to the city, and then we all go off to our train stations. And that was like Monday to Friday. So on Friday, we all finished and we got back to the hostel and we were like, sick, let's party, So
you're literally going to the train station with cloths and some disinfectant. And is this like to the point of you've just got like, okay, I've got 50 places I have to wipe down over the course of an hour? Or every time I see someone touch something, I got to go wipe that up like now?
Yeah, no. So I was just at Fremantle Station. So
Okay.
I just had...
You just walk to work?
Yeah. No. I had to take the train into the city, clock in, take the train back, and then start. Same for when I finished. Like,
you had to take the train in to clock off. Then
and I literally lived 2 minutes away from the train station.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was so stupid. But that was... Yeah, so I walked around for 7 hours cleaning the same touch points over and over again. And I had some like pretty scary experiences because there's a lot of, like
Interesting characters.
interesting characters. I had some scary moments where I locked myself in the cubicle because there was someone in the bathroom that was doing whatever they were doing, and I just had to go to the police that was on duty that day at the train station and be like, can you help me, sort this problem? And it was really scary. So
Were you in? So you're in the cubicle and someone like comes in, or did you feel like you were followed, or it was just?
So I would have to clean the bathrooms.
Okay.
So I would go into the bathroom and I just like hear, the packages opening, or I could see someone sitting on the floor in the cubicle, like naked and just like screaming or something. And it was really hectic. Like, I was like, what is going on? I did not expect that at all. There was no like safety help
Training.
whatsoever, nothing. But that was also just, for me, just being at Fremantle Station. Like, the others had like a whole train line. So they would have like 4, 5 train stations that they have to take the train to and get off and like clean that station, take the train to the next and clean that station. So they would just like move around, and which could also be scary because early in the morning or late at night, the shift went from, 6 a.m. to 2 and then from 2 to 8 in the evening. And
did you have someone like following you? Or was there like a supervisor that would check in to make sure?
They would just come like randomly, but they would just make sure you do your job, but there was no help whatsoever. Like, I know that the girls that had the evening shift in like, Armadale on that train line, like they were all by themselves. It was just sketchy. Like, I don't know. I was there once at that train line and it was just, I was like, yeah, I'm going back to the city. I don't care about this job. Like, this is too scary for me right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the best introduction into the train system or train lines system. That actually would be, particularly at night time as well. I guess it's maybe a bit surprising that they would opt for, as girls to really go out to, even for guys, honestly, it's terrifying as well. You go out there and if someone's yelling off their rocker or they're doing things, at the end of the day, they're just unpredictable people and you don't quite know what they're going to do.
What's going to happen, like, because they scream, like, it's terrifying, like, for anyone. And, that was an experience. So I did actually lose that job. I got fired.
Because you didn't want to rock up anymore, or?
No, because I was listening to podcasts with my headphones in, and because it's
naturally,
and because it's boring cleaning the same points for 7 hours and just walking in circles. But we weren't allowed to wear headphones and listen to music because of the trains, because it's too dangerous.
What about just one? One little.
It didn't matter. She caught me like 3 times, and then the last time she was like, "Yeah, you don't have to come anymore." I was like, "Cool, never see you again." That's one thing I learned in Australia. I think if I don't enjoy a job, just leave. Like, what's the point? There's so much else, and there's so many more opportunities. Like, if you don't like something, just leave.
Pack up and go.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
So, you've been a professional cleaner of train stations.
Yeah.
Saving us all from COVID, so thank you.
No worries.
What else did you because have you travelled around the country, and picked up work along the way, or I guess what's been your direction around as you've been moving around?
So I obviously went up the West Coast first because of COVID and the borders were closed and all that stuff. And I got a job in a resort. I was mostly working just hospitality, like in resorts or as a barista in a cafe.
So just to rewind back, so you literally flew in, 2020, like just before the pandemic?
Yeah, the first time I came in March 2019.
Okay, a year before.
Yeah, and then I flew to Sydney, and I did like a road trip from Cairns to Sydney with my friend from Germany. And then I actually went home for 5 months because I was super homesick. I wasn't even, I was just 18. Didn't really know what I was doing, so I went home. And then I got so depressed at home. Like, oh, it was awful. And my mum was just like, I remember she took me to the bakery and she was like, Jana, what's going on? Like, you need to do something about this. And then 2 days later, we booked a flight back to Australia and I came to Perth. And that's kind of when it all started. I came in October 2019, had my summer at the hostel. You know, I was working on a farm for like a few weeks on an olive farm, which was actually quite nice with my friend. It was like 2 hours inland from Perth. We were just cutting olive tree branches, which was, you know, easy. And then I did my barista course in Freo because I really liked Freo. And yeah, I just checked into the hostel and just did my thing. And we had a really good crew there. You know, it was the first summer. It was nothing that I've ever experienced. Like the parties, the people, like everything. I was like, oh my God, my mind's blown. So much going on, you know, it's.
So you went so back home, was it sort of like a regret for leaving, or was it just, okay, and then, so how quickly did you feel, I guess, I've actually heard this story a couple times from one French girl in particular who probably wasn't feeling all that good about just where she was at. And then as soon as she came to Australia, I think it's probably pretty common for people as they start traveling, you're going to start to feel pretty euphoric about what's going on and what you're doing, new place, new person. Like you really get sort of a whole fresh start and see who you are and how you can manage. And
Definitely.
That's hugely exciting. It's a big adventure. And then she returned home and very quickly was just letting me know, like, I'm probably pretty unhappy now for like 3 months. And she was actually about to come back to Australia. I guess she'd figured that this, whatever was going on here, was definitely helping her. But unfortunately, that's when the pandemic actually
so
came
she
in.
never made it.
So she hasn't come back.
Oh, that's really sad. Yeah, that's really sad. I was so lucky. And I was also lucky that my mum kind of kicked me out, you know. She was like, you gotta go.
So she gave you the boot. She was just like,
yeah, she was like, so are you going to the travel agency to book your flight? And I was like, and she was like, we're going tomorrow. And then she booked my flight for me. We sat at the agency and the woman asked me, so you want to book this flight? And I was like, and my mum just went, yes.
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does. So yeah, I'm so grateful for that. And
we all need a mum like that, I think.
Yes, we do. I love my mum. She came to visit me like a few months ago, which was unreal. Like not having seen her for so long and then having that experience of, I don't know, just waiting at the airport for the door to open, you know. I was like, oh my God.
It's the classic movie scene.
Yeah, it was. And I didn't think how I was going to feel about it, you know, but I was just crying. I started crying immediately as I seen her. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy.
You can't, even right now, just thinking about the idea of that, I can't help but get a little bit like, oh, it's.
Yeah. It gives me butterflies. Like whenever I think about it, it's just, yeah.
That's crazy. A big moment. So that was how many years in the making to see mum at that point?
2.5.
Okay.
And I was homesick like all my life. I never thought I would be here for 3 years now, not having seen my dad or my grandparents, you know, like I never thought that was going to happen. Like when I was in Sydney the first 2 months, I was crying every single night. I was like, I hate this. I want to go home. Life sucks. And then now I'm just like, what was wrong with me?
I guess, I mean, you probably would have thought about this a bit now. Honestly, if I was 18, I would have been, and I was shit scared. Like I went to Europe very briefly, just the classic Kentucky tour, pretty much just drank every night and took back very few spotted memories as a result of that. Great fun. But I mean, the main reason why I ended up doing that is because I was like just utterly terrified of a new place that I had, no idea how to sort of manage, even though, you're an 18, 19-year-old, so technically you're an adult.
Yeah, you think so anyway.
For me, it was just like the idea of moving somewhere else with a no expiry date. Like I honestly couldn't imagine doing that. That's why I had a time limit on it and I came back. So I'm always like quite impressed by people that just go ahead and do it. But for you obviously went through the initial homesick period. Do you think it was an age thing, or like what sort of, I guess, shifted for you, do you think, that went from being, I need to go home, want to go home, to being like, wow, I've been here 3 years?
For me, it was like just getting used to a new place. Like I was really homesick and I was having a good time. Like I met people, but I was in Sydney. So like in the CBD, there was so much going on. I was just a bit like overwhelmed. And not like living in a hostel that doesn't have that, like it's really important that you check in somewhere where it's a vibe, it's a family vibe, it's people want to hang out. And in that hostel in Sydney, it was nice, but it didn't feel like a home, it felt more like just a YJ hostel, like just a chain,
just a waiting room.
Yeah, basically. And then I did my road trip, and I actually booked my flight home before I went on the road trip, and that's the most silly thing that I've ever done, I think, in my time in Australia. Like,
is that because at the end of the road trip you're like,
yeah, literally, I booked my flight the day before we went on the road trip. And by the end of the road trip, I was crying because I didn't want to take that flight anymore. I was like, what have I done? But, because I did that road trip, and that's when I realized, this is what it's all about, It's not about being in Sydney in the CBD and being a tourist that just looks at the city. It's about actually hitting the road, really. Because you experience so much more, and road trips are just the best. You be one with nature. You go where you want to go. You do what you want to do. You see the most insane places that I have seen so far. And yeah, I got to Sydney and I was like, oh, well, I guess this is it then. And I actually flew to Perth, went to Rottnest Island, and I tried to like push my flight back and everything. But yeah, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Also because I had a partner in Germany that time, so that obviously he wasn't happy that I was like, oh, by the way, I don't want to come anymore.
Why wasn't he coming here? Another time.
He wasn't coming because I think I also didn't want him to be honest. Okay. Like it's my thing, I came here by myself, and he wasn't the person anyway. Sure. So I went home.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. But I did go, so I did say to him, like, I don't want to come. Like, I might stay. And he just absolutely lost it, obviously. Like, I get it. So I went home, which I shouldn't have, because I should have just said, like, whatever. Like, if you don't support me, then that's that, But I was 18, sorry. Like, no idea what I was doing. So I went home. And then from then on, it was just like, I cried when I got on the plane. And I seen Sydney from above. I was like, I'm on the plane now. I messed up. Like,
fuck.
Yeah, fuck. Like, what am I doing? But, I learned.
And here you are.
And here I am again.
That would have been a terrible story, honestly, if you'd never come back.
Yeah, I know. I was so depressed. It was not fun anymore at home. I spent so much money because I moved into that guy's place because I thought, oh, that's going to be the right decision. It definitely wasn't.
So definitely sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
So the road trip as well. So just before you left, you take the road trip up to Cairns. So how does that even come about? So because you're staying in this hostel, you're not feeling the real family vibes that I guess you've now come to find, and
Yeah.
like, why would you go for anything else? So you go for a road trip. Did you just have a couple of friends? Like, how did that sort of initially come about? Had you heard about it?
So that was because my friend from middle school, she was au pair in Sydney at the time, and a mutual friend of ours told both of us that I'm coming to Australia and that she already is in Australia. So I was like, oh, I already know someone, like maybe we can go on a road trip. Like we went to school together, so surely it'd be fine. Never really hung out with her or anything. So I just messaged her. I was like, hey, do you want to maybe go on a road trip together? And she was like, yeah, of course. And then I told her when I'm coming, and she told me when she finishes her au pair job. And then we kind of just met up in Cairns, which was super weird because we obviously like never hung out, never spoke before, like except for like 5 years before in school, But we seen each other at the airport, and straight away it was like good. Like we didn't have an argument. We just got along very well. So she was organizing it all, like getting the car from the company and booking the tours for like the Whit Sundays and Fraser Island. And I just paid her basically. So I didn't actually do anything.
We all need a person like that in our life. I'm so happy if someone else is willing to do the organizing. It's just an actual nightmare. Anyone that thinks it's very simple to plan like an itinerary and things like,
oh my God, they don't know.
Just, all right. Once you've tried it and you try to do it, particularly for a group of people, not just like one other person.
Yes.
If you keep wanting to do that, all right, you've got like, good on you. Like,
I know.
Clap.
I did that, and that was like such an easy road trip because it's only one person, so we just, and she was German as well. So we kind of like, it was just easy. But I also went on a road trip with 14 other people in Perth on the southwest coast, and that was, oh my goodness. It was like, I think we had 9 boys, 10 boys and 4 girls. Can you imagine? Like, I don't even know what to say. Like that road trip that you could not plan. You just couldn't. Every day was different, and every day was something going down. Like,
How long did that trip go for?
oh God, only 3 weeks because 2.5, 3, because I think otherwise we would have killed each other.
So it was perfectly good, and at the same time, it was probably ending at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. It was beautiful, and like we had also the best time, but that road trip was hectic. Like we had to like manage the police at one stage because one of the guys just absolutely lost it and like jumped naked on a car and smashed the windshield because he was so drunk. And then he got like chased by the police. And then that same night, his nose got broken by my now partner, which was probably the best moment of my life. But
So that was that knight in shining armor. That was that moment.
Yeah. It was so funny. Like us girls, we were staying at this hostel in Albany, really beautiful, like super family vibe, like quite old, and us girls were just sitting in my private room and on the bed, talking, just having some time away from the boys because that was Super Bowl day and they all went to the pub at 6 a.m. and just...
Time away from the boys? Who needed that? What are you talking about?
We needed it. Trust me. Oh my God. And then my partner came in just like blood everywhere. And he was like, guess what just happened? And we were like, what? And he was like, I just broke Tim's nose. I was like, fuck yeah. We were all like, you know, cheering and like, oh, finally.
I can see him saying this, like, you had a smile on just then. And I was like, I feel like he was wearing a smile. Like, guess what just happened?
Yeah, he came in like just laughing. I was like, he fucking deserves it. Like, and we got back and no one spoke to him again, you know, like back to the hostel, and he was just out of the group. Like,
yep, happens.
yeah. But the road trip in itself, like, we had a chef with us, so he would have a bottle of wine every night and cook for everyone. And
so this was a chef that was actually happy to be the chef, not the chef that doesn't want to bring work
yeah,
home
yeah.
with them.
No,
There are the two kinds.
I know.
The chef that's like, guys, don't worry, I've got this. Everyone's like, yes. And then there's a chef that's like, I'm definitely not fucking cooking.
Yeah, I'm
like,
cooking every day. Like,
Yeah.
nah, he said from the beginning on he didn't want to do it, but then every night he would have a bottle of wine and just be like, I'm cooking now. And we're like, okay.
just cooking really shitly, just being like, oh, you know, I don't know how to do it. And he's like,
that's what me and my best friend did. We tried to cook one night and it was so horrible that they were like, you don't have to cook anymore.
don't you love it when a plan comes together?
Beautiful. No, it was really good actually. Like, the Southwest Coast camping wise is just, have you been?
So honestly, this is the most embarrassing part, is that when I'm speaking to people about their travel stories around Australia, the very few that I have are like the same location every time. And my traveling north has honestly like barely, if at all, happened, except to up a place called Wedge, where a little bit of like surfing and like sand dunes, like full driving things. But I'm so far on the out when it comes to actually exploring the country. It's highly embarrassing. It's something that will get corrected in the near future.
Yeah.
But the Southwest is where I've been around the most, wine country. And that's purely just because we've got friends that have places down there.
Yeah, nice.
And I guess we're all just a little bit, we just kind of suck at going for like the extended camping trips. We're good at like, if we know the place, we've got no one in the group that's like, all right, let's go. We're going out this weekend. It's like, that doesn't happen. It's like the same time every year. We'll just go to one place and then we'll set up. There's no new exploring, which is a little bit embarrassing to say that out loud, isn't it? Yeah, we should probably sort that out.
Nah, you should 100%. It's so beautiful. Just like camping on the beach,
Yeah.
you know. And I find it. Yeah, I get the discomfort of like going to places where you don't really know and what's gonna happen or what you'll see, or you know. But we gotta seek discomfort, you know, because like, you only get rewarded also, you know, you drive to that campsite and it's opening up to the most beautiful beach in the world, like, and just being there with your friends, like, you know, sitting on a blanket even. Like, my camping setup has changed from sleeping in the car to having a rooftop tent to sleeping in the car again to sleeping in the van now. Like, but every single time it doesn't really matter because it's about what you see and where you go, you know. It's especially going up north. I think Exmouth is my favorite place in the world so far.
Have you been further north? So I've been sort of Kununurra, Broome area.
I've been to Broome, but not Kununurra.
Okay, so the Pilbara is definitely another one of those locations that like is, you can't really understand how like magical it is until you're there.
Yeah.
Because on like the surface, it would almost appear as if it's practically a desert style landscape. But there's something about the vividness of the colors up there and like the calmness around you.
Yeah.
It's actually an insane place to just literally look around or wherever you are, and you're almost always like blown away.
Oh, always. Like, I just came back from Karijini like 2 weeks ago, Karijini National Park, and again, like, wow, there's like colors I have not seen before, or like the rock formations, or in Exmouth, for example, the color of the water, and there is no one. That's what I love about WA. Like, I went to the East Coast and you go to these places, beautiful, unreal, but so many people. Like, it's not that I dislike people, but like WA is special because the chance that you go to a beach anywhere and you're by yourself is pretty high. Like, or there's like maybe 2 or 3 people up north. That is, down south is obviously a bit different.
Sure.
But yeah, going north, like I remember camping in Exmouth in the national park and just walking over the sand dunes, and I had the whole beach to myself all day.
It's yours.
It's mine. I'm like, this is what I want. I want to be by myself. No, that sounds worse than I mean it. But like, no, it's the peace and quiet and the, actually having time away. Like, people go on holiday, but they go to these like super busy places where I feel like I can't switch off because there's so much going on. If I go to a remote place and I just like, sit on a rock or sit on the beach and I look at where I am, I'm just calm, like zen,
I think honestly, back on that point is, I think growing up, a lot of growing up is being able to sit in a room by yourself quietly.
Yeah.
And I think there's actually a saying around that as well, probably that just poorly paraphrased it, to be honest. But that's actually a story I've heard mirrored again a few times. I mean, I've experienced it myself. We, even during school years, they would take us out for a camping trip, once a year, and they would actually give you isolation time. So it was like,
really?
It was like you had to be away from everyone to the point of like silence. You couldn't see anyone else around you. So they would bring students out to different points around like this big bushland, obviously. And for a minimum of 20 minutes, sometimes it would go for a bit longer. You've got the stars above you. You've got a chair that you're just sitting on. And like the whole purpose is like just see and enjoy and be in your own company for 20 minutes, because as a kid, it's not something you would necessarily think to do. Maybe summer, obviously, that's what they look for. Myself personally, I was always, I was a social kid, really. Yeah. So being like introduced to that, and I was like, oh, this is just really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then like for me, as I've moved forward with just whether it be traveling solo or things like meditation or basic like skills and hobbies that I like to do, even if that's like working out, I always find that the experience of sort of being comfortable with your own self in your own room is a very like empowering, like it's amazing.
100%. And I feel like we don't do it enough, like I came here by myself and people are like, whoa, like how did you, like you came in by yourself and you were 18? I'm like, yeah, like it's important that we learn to, I don't know, be happy with ourselves, by ourselves alone. Like it's good that they try and give you that isolation time to appreciate yourself, and to know that even if you're by yourself, you're not alone because you've got you, and that's what I'm actually learning right now at the moment, is that I need to be my own person and I need to do what makes me happy, just me, because nothing else really matters. Like, I've been quite codependent, quite, always people pleasing, but always forgetting about myself, even though I have been traveling and everything. But like, I'm learning that if I just sit in the garden by myself, that's not wasted time. It's not boring, like it's actually good for me to just sit there and just be me. Because otherwise you're just taking in all the things from everyone else, I find, but not from you, if that makes sense.
100%. Just, I guess, again, on that, it really just sounds like the process of growing up is such a strange phenomenon, because you're in it the whole time.
Yeah.
You see movies and you see TV shows, and eventually you look back, I hope. But when you do sort of look back and see like who you were, I would hope that there's like quite a bit of change there. And you can start to probably see a few reasons why you're, again, hopefully a better version than where you were. And again, I really think the isolation is something. And isolation is such a harsh word. It sounds like punishment.
It does.
But it's not. It really is just, when else do we even get a second just to hear our own thoughts without it being a thought about what I have to do next or what someone needs from me, or, as you said, all the stimulus that's constantly coming into us that we're responding to. Very rarely do we get that, except for maybe shower, bathroom, and at the moment we'll have our phones most of the time as well. So that fills in that void.
Yeah, the phones are the worst, I swear. Actually, it starts making me upset when I'm like out with my friends and like they just pull out their phone. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, come on, put it away.
Isn't the worst?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it. I'm like, I'm talking to you. Listen to me. Like, what the hell?
I mean, I'm probably guilty of it at times as well, but that's definitely
Everyone is, yeah.
It's definitely a point that I try and make, particularly if it's someone that you haven't caught up with a while. There's a guy with the name of like Douglas Murray, and he made a point that I quite agree with. Someone was describing something to him, and he was like, "Oh, actually, no, I've got a photo. I'll just show you." And he was like, "No, please don't show me the photo. I would prefer that you just describe it to me."
Yeah.
It's like, use that. Like, that's much more interesting as to how you're going to describe that than go, like, here's what it is.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
then when by describing, he like activates his own creativity in his head as well, you know, the imagination of what the guy is describing. Also, you know, it's phones take so much, I feel like, so much away from us. It's beautiful because I can stay in contact with everyone, you know, but I feel like, yeah, we're just run by them a little bit, you know.
We are still learning how to work in the world of like technology. And so
Hard.
there is going to be a big learning curve. And like, again, I think we're definitely still in it. And I think some people that have figured it out, it's the most powerful. It still is the most powerful tool I think we've ever created.
Definitely.
For any person now can do just about anything that they want due to that piece of tech in their hand.
Yeah.
But so many of us are obviously caught up with flashy things on it. And again, myself absolutely included as well. That 10 minutes that goes by because I've been watching a couple of friends like Instagram stories and ads that pop up, and I'm like, oh, well, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Didn't exactly mean to, but I seem to do it. So, okay. But nonetheless, I definitely think it's a net positive. We're just in that difficult phase of like, learning. What the fuck do we do with it? Exactly.
Yeah, I've been trying to change my feed a little bit to actually things that interest me and not just, you know, because I believe we can use social media as something really good, you know, and obviously as something to connect and to speak about everything and everything that bothers us, you know, and to also find people that understand us and just use it in a good way. But that's hard for everyone, you know, so everyone's gotta just get there for themselves, really. You know, I know loads of people that are like, oh, I've just deleted social media. I'm like, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. Like, I'm sure you could use it for your advantage, you know, like, because it's got a lot of potential, really, to get knowledge, to meet people from the other side of the world, to stay in contact, all those things. It's just how we use it.
You said it takes work.
Yeah, and effort.
Yeah, everything that is valuable largely takes effort. I think that's a relative truism. Yeah. But just to hinge back, as much as I do love philosophy as well, to be honest, but just to hinge back on the trip. So you've done a trip from sort of Sydney up to Cairns, and then you've done obviously more WA coastline than I have myself. How do you compare, I guess, those two trips? You know, those locations, and I guess like the experience. Like, do you want to go do more areas around Australia at the moment? Are you just now content with?
No, I want to do it again. I want to go. I just want to do it again. It's not enough. It's never enough. Yeah, I feel like I didn't appreciate it enough when I was doing it, you know, especially in the beginning, because it's so new and so strange, and there's so much going on. You've got to learn so much. You know, you're going to really remote places, especially in the northwest. You know, and yeah, it's different. The East Coast is much easier traveling wise, just because there's stops everywhere. Like you know, there's one town after another where you can buy anything you want. It's not really remote. While when you drive up north in WA, it's like, oh, I am in the middle of fucking nowhere, you know. Landscape wise, they are completely different. But so beautiful in their own way. You know, in Queensland, you've got the rainforests and everything and the waterfalls, and it's unreal. Like, wow, it also blew my mind. But then on the West Coast, I've got the mile-long beaches with no one on them and the sun shining every day, and I can snorkel on the reef and see turtles and sharks and, you know, all of that stuff. So it's very different. I feel like the state that kind of combines it all is Tassie.
Okay.
Yeah, I traveled around Tassie for only 3 weeks, but camping is free everywhere. So you don't even have to pay for national parks or anything. You just, you know, do your thing and travel around. The West Coast is rainforest again, and that's the other way around. The West Coast is rainforest, and the East Coast is like all the white sandy beaches with Bay of Fires.
On Tasmania, you're saying?
Yeah. And Tasmania is just like a tiny Australia, you know, because it's like...
It's the forgotten Australia.
It is, yeah, 100%. I think Tasmania, the state, it's a shame that it's on no one's agenda. It's coming now, like through COVID. I feel like people are more inclined to go there, but like, for example, when I got here, I didn't even know it's a thing. Like, I didn't even know it exists. I was like, Tasmania?
Don't worry. The rest of Australia also forgets that it's there.
Yeah, but it's such a shame because, wow, it's beautiful. Like,
did you go hiking?
Yeah, I went everywhere.
Yeah.
I did the whole shebang. Cradle Mountain in the middle. The wombats. They're so cute. They're like little teddy bears, you know, and yeah.
My friend just did Cradle Mountain. He lives on the East Coast, and he went with his partner, and they flew down there, and they've been really getting into their hiking, and it's
the perfect place.
It is. Like, if you're a hiker, Tasmania is right up your alley.
Definitely.
They get in there and so excited. They wake up early, so they get there at like 3 or 4 in the morning, like really early start. And within the first 15 minutes, she rolls her ankle.
No.
Just steps on a rock, bang, ankle roll, down on the ground, crying. And, you know, Hayden, my friend, he was just like,
oh no.
But she actually, to her credit as well, just copped it and just went along, just continued on. So
nice.
Good on her.
Yeah, good
Kudos.
for her.
Kudos to you.
Definitely. Oh, wow. Yeah, I bet she was just like, nah, I'm not ruining this. Like, I'm going.
I think there was that brief window where it was like, is this the hike over?
Yeah.
And I think she made the right call. Just continue
definitely.
on. Like, when are we going to come back? Yeah.
Because, like, Cradle Mountain also, like, yeah, you got to climb up the mountain, but then once you're up the top, there's just a boardwalk.
Yeah.
You're not even walking in the bush because it's all, you know, obviously protected and stuff like that. But, yeah, Tasmania, I had the best time, had a beautiful workplace. I met so many just genuine people, like people that are just nice, you know, that just want the best for you, and they do everything they can, you know, to help you. Like,
and you were a solo traveler at this point, or you were with your partner for?
No, I came by myself again. I flew to Tassie alone, and then I met this girl in the hostel. It's so funny. She was having like a political debate with like the owner of the hostel, and I was just trying to like separate them because it got really hectic, you know, about feminism and all that stuff. It's always a crazy conversation. And then she told me that she's going on this date with the girl to see if they can go on a road trip together, you know, like kind of just seeing if they get along. And I was like, well, if you don't get along, I'm coming with you. Like, she had a car, she had a bed in the car, she had camping stuff, she had everything. I had nothing. And then she went on this date. That girl came back and she was like, yeah, so when are we going to leave? And we left like 3 days later. So that was...
To the other girl? Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, yeah, nah. I was like, all right, I'm coming. And then, yeah, we had a really good time. Like, it's so easy, you know. If you're traveling, you just gotta be open-minded to everything, I feel. You know, you can't be like, nah, I don't want to do this, or no, I don't want to do that. Like, you're traveling because you want to see everything, you know, and you want to travel with people that want to do the same.
Yeah.
So it was perfect because she was like, I want to do this, and this. And I was like, all right, let's go. Like, let's do it.
You certainly don't mean traveling with someone that's just like, oh, like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's like, what?
What are we here for? So at the moment, when you first came as well, I know we're jumping around the place a lot, but just when you first came to Australia, did you do a tour? Did you have something booked ready to go? Or was it really just flew in and...
I just flew in. I came and I was just like, okay, so what do I do now? I literally arrived in Sydney and I was just like, oh, okay, so I'm going to book this bus tour, you know, like the double buses that drive around the city and you can hop on and off. I did this and I just walked everywhere. That's the thing I do when I get to new places. I walk everywhere. I don't usually take buses or taxis or the trains or anything. I just walk everything to map it out, to be aware of my surroundings and where what is. I can't really do that when I'm taking buses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just get so confused. I took that bus, that hop on, hop off bus, and I was like, where am I? Like, what the fuck? And then I had to like Google map it, and you know, I was just so confused. And then for 2 weeks, I just walked to there and then to there and then to there. And eventually I was like, all right, this is where I am. Like, cool. You get comfortable, you get to know the place. But
were you a big walker? Like, is that something you would do for just like your own leisure time or like exercise or something, or only really as a way to map out your surroundings in a new place?
I quite just like going for walks, like especially just around cities and stuff like that, or well, especially in nature also, obviously. But I just like being in the fresh air. I don't like public transport, but that's probably because I had to take it all my school years, and it's just nothing that I really want to be doing, you know. So I'd rather just walk. It's nice, like you see so much more, and it's nice to be in the fresh air.
Yeah. And so you're a big walker, you map out the place, and then for you, how were you deciding how were you deciding what you were going to sort of do next? Because my experience of traveling was largely either I would sort of walk around and literally just either find something likely to be a pub or something and head in. Otherwise, I was really bad at researching and planning things out ahead, except for I just want to go there. And so looking back now, I think I would do at least a little bit of research just to find out things I'd like to go and do. But I would just talk to people. So what was your process, I guess, of being like, oh, this is what I want to do next? Were you sort of a big jumper or a bit more of a planner?
I think I was a bit more of a planner. Now I just see what happens. No, but I would, I got really crazy with like cafes and stuff. I looked up all the fancy, crazy cafes in Sydney and was just like, all right, I'm going there for breakfast. And then I would just walk there and just see what I see on the way, really. And I would look on Pinterest, like, I don't know, the 15 best things to do in Sydney, you know, all these like blogs from people where you probably don't even want to see half of it, but there will be something, you know. So I found the fish market and the museums, and just all of that. And for me, I think it was important to realize that, again, like, I can just do these things by myself. Like, you know, I can take myself out for breakfast because why not? Like, I deserve it. I can go on the ferry and go to to Manly or wherever it was. I think Waterman's Bay I went as well, just by myself. Like, if you're traveling solo, you got to be ready to travel solo until you meet the right people. And I kind of just, I used to be a planner, and now I'm like, oh my God, stay as far away as you can, plans, because you're not going to work out anyway. Like, I had so many plans where I was like, oh, I want to go to the West Coast, or I want to go there, or I want to go there. And then for whatever reason, it was like, nah, you're going to stay here, or you're going to go there, the complete other way. Like, if I have an impulse one day and I'm like, at the moment it's, oh, I really want to go home. I just got to do it, you know.
Is that what you've got right now?
Yeah, at the moment it's like, I just want to go home.
Okay.
Like, not for long, you know, but it's just time. It's been 3 years. I miss my family. And it's just been a long time here now, especially now that I'm like kind of settling down.
Is the crazy traveler of Jana slowing down? Is that what you're telling me? Is it a exclusive release here?
So I'm not happy about it. Nah. I think I'm gonna go to India next year and to Africa.
That's the Jana we know.
Yeah. It's true. No, because I just get really bored in one place. You know, I feel like I was just meant to see the world. Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just a bit weird like that, but
surely along your travels you've met plenty of people that share that sort of worldview.
The best. I met the most amazing people, and they do, but also some of them, they just want to do that one adventure, you know, and then it's fine. For me, Australia has only like just put fuel on the fire, and it just went, I want to travel the world, you know, like I've got 8 years. By the time I'm 30, I would have to travel the world. That's my goal, you know, and
plenty of time.
But the world's big, you know, and as you can see, you get stuck in places. So, yeah, it's, I don't know, I miss it. I miss the life on the road. Like when I went to Karijini, then I was like, I didn't shower for 10 days, but that's fine. Like, you know, it sounds gross to other people. For me, it's just like you're in the middle of fucking nowhere. There is no shower. Like, there's not even water. You know, you got to bring your own water. It's
well, for everyone at home right now, she smells fine. Don't worry about it.
Nah, you can get used to it for sure. That was actually the longest I didn't shower ever on the road.
Do you think it's something about, is it sort of taking on a new challenge for yourself?
The traveling, you mean? And
yeah, so, you know, you've obviously got quite comfortable now in Australia and the West Coast in particular.
Too comfortable.
Too comfortable.
Yeah.
So, as you said, you're looking for discomfort because that's where you sort of see growth, and I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I think you need to be searching out discomfort. What we're doing right now is uncomfortable for many people, for instance. It's just another way to build on yourself and do something new and interesting. So, again, is that you just feel too comfortable, and for you, traveling is the ultimate discomfort you find yourself?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I've been like that all my life. Like, even when I changed school, I went to a school that no one else went to because I was like,
you're a school of one by yourself?
No. Like, no, sorry, no one from my class. Like, you know, from middle school to high school. Because we have primary, middle school, and high school.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone in my middle school went to this one school, and I was like, nah, like I need like a new start.
What age would you have been then?
I was, what was I? 16, I think.
Okay.
Nah, 15. 15, yeah.
Making executive decisions to remove your
Yeah.
entire social cohort or social
Yeah.
friends.
I've never been like a super social person. I've
Okay.
always been me. I've been bullied in school and stuff like that. So that's where it's coming from. You know, I'm just like, nah. I'd rather be by myself than, you know. But for me, I just know I don't grow if I'm too long in the same place. Like this opportunity, for example, with the podcast as well, when you came into the hostel, I was like, of course, like I'm so keen. Hell yeah. It's for me, this is growth, you know, and that on a small scale. But it doesn't matter if it's small or big if you grow from it, you know. And but at some stage I know that, I mean, it's already happening, that I just feel like something is missing in my life, and I want to just keep seeking my discomfort so I don't feel discomfort anymore in a lot of situations, you know. And I just, for me, going by myself is just something that I do for me and no one else. And I think that's the most important thing about it all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been told what to do. I've always been like, oh no, you have to do this, you have to do that. Now I'm like, nah, I do what I want. Like, no one can tell me if I want to go and see the world, I go and see the world.
I think that's probably the first thing I recognised as what was going on when I did a little working holiday over East with myself and a few friends, which is actually how Waytree sort of birthed part of it anyway. When we did our own little working holiday over there, we adopted a plant just for the hell of it. Purchased a plant, but we adopted a plant and named him Tree, which we personified, and we ended up taking this tree on day trips. And for no other reason than for the humor of it, for the story, for the fact that it was a gag, and we all just found it quite funny. We put the plant on some steps, and we were like, oh, it's Tree's first steps. You know, like we were really just playing around with it. But that whole process, the fact that we were making these decisions as outlandish as they were, it was clearly out from our own decision-making tree. And because we were separated as well from your typical friends and family, there was no one over the shoulder. And it was that sense of ultimate freedom in that, like, we're having to figure out our own security, our own discomfort, our own fun.
Exactly.
Like all components of it. And that's, I think that's what sort of makes people, at least did make me grow quite a lot, is just recognizing that.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the moment you like start traveling, it's like you're a baby again. You know, you're like, oh my God, I'm by myself. I need to do this and this and this. Like, you know, and you start kind of from scratch, like figuring out what you actually, I mean, if you haven't already, there's obviously people are different, you know, but like figuring out what you like and what brings you joy and how you grow, you know. And I just know that, it's very important to see other things. And as you said, it's the freedom, like that I'm seeking the most, I think, of everything. It's just freedom. I just want to feel free. I don't want to feel closed in or like somebody else has the power over me. I hate that, you know. I'm my own person, you know, like everyone is their own person and everyone should do what they love and what they want to do. Sorry, I'm totally drifting off right now. But.
I mean, as soon as you're saying that, I'm just wanting to raise my fist and be like, yeah.
No, because that's just, people are so, like, especially at home, you know, I can see it. They're all working their 9-to-5 job and they're all living life. But when was the last time they've actually done something for themselves or have like seek this comfort, you know? Doesn't really happen because they're so like doing the same thing over and over again, you know.
That's the thing. You can take a new walking route around your block or your neighborhood or something, but ultimately if you're really wanting to sort of start afresh, like traveling is the easy way in a sense to get that full reset, refresh. Everything, as you say, is new. You are kind of a baby. And I think particularly for post-school, you know, you can't help but be we're all conditioned by our experiences and the people around us.
Yeah.
And so the first time you can really challenge a lot of those things is when you're really starting to formulate your own ideas. And school, it's a lot of the time I felt like I was challenging things, but I wasn't really challenging like myself or who I was or like who I was going to be in the world. I was challenging just like maybe occasionally what people told me, but like, I don't know. I didn't have a great sense of self by any means. But as soon as you're sort of thrust into a whole new place, you have no other option but to go through the process of working out who it is you want to be. Because who it is you want to be is what are you going to do? Like, what are you about to go do next? Yeah. It's very hard.
It's very hard. I mean, I cried every night the first 2 months, you know, like it's not easy. And that's why it's called seeking discomfort, you know, because you're doing something that's probably not that normal for you or the environment that you grew up in, you know, like I, for example, couldn't tell anyone that I'm coming back to Australia when I flew back because I was like, if I tell people, like they might influence my decision. So I just booked my flight with my mum and I was like, I'm going, you know, like no questions asked. Like I also broke up with my ex-boyfriend a week before I came to Australia, which was not the best thing to do. But, you know, I was
young.
I was like, I booked my flight and also I'm breaking up with you.
Again, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. And, you know, they all these, I don't know.
For you, that discomfort again, you would have had quite a few uncomfortable times throughout Australia. You said the first 2 months, pretty difficult. I'm sure there's been plenty along the way. You were mentioning before as well that one period of at least a bit of farm work as well was a bit uncomfortable. Yeah. Was that probably the most uncomfortable sort of working experience here?
Yeah, 100%. That farm work was different. Nothing that it's weird because I remember we were driving to the farm, me and my partner, after a weekend in Margaret River with our friends. It's like our final weekend of fun. And then we would go to farm work and we were driving to the farm and I was like, I've got a weird feeling about this. Like, it doesn't feel good. And then should have trusted my gut 100%. Should have turned around the same day and been like, we're looking for something else. Again, as I said in the beginning, if you already know you don't like a job or you don't like something, just go. Like, there's so much more. You don't have to suffer through all of that, you know. And
feel free to stare down the camera and tell everyone, by the way, that like, trust your gut.
Trust your gut. No, it's so important. Like, because I got there and like, the farmer only hired couples, which was the first really bad thing. Because can you imagine like 5 couples living in their own caravan each, 4.5 hours inland from Perth. Our partners were all we had with a farmer that calls you cunt, that calls you French fuck, that screams at you every single day, every morning, saying how shit you are, and you can see how he treats his kids. You can see how disrespectful he is, how he treats the dog. That was my breaking point, like the dog, you know, like seeing the dog chained on for day after day after day. Like, I don't know, it might be normal for some people. For me, that was just...
He sounds like a cunt.
Yeah, he was a cunt. Still is a cunt. And the girls would have to like clean up their house in the morning. And it was like, you know, you walk in the house and they literally were just waiting for you to come and clean it up. They did not do anything themselves. The kids decorated the Christmas tree, wanted to show their dad. He walks in and just screams at them and tells them to fuck off. You know, it was so crazy. Like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why am I here? You know, and I kept like, and then you would sit in the car 8 hours a day with your partner, looking out the window, looking for fucking skeleton weed. Like a weed that doesn't even matter, but like you were just looking out of the window, searching for this particular weed. If you find it, you put a pink tape around it and like a 20-meter square with drums and then you would get in the car. But we would go days without seeing skeleton weed. So you would sit in the car for 8 hours a day driving through paddocks 20 kilometers an hour with your partner, and you're already hating life, and you're going to start hating your partner because there's no one else you can let it out on. So all in all, it was the most toxic environment that I think, ever in, because you would get back to your campsite with everyone else that's pissed off with their partners because everyone's having a shit day because you've probably been screamed on like 20 times. And then everyone would just sit there, smoke, and just be so depressed. Like, we would all just talk about how horrible the farmer was today. And like,
how long did this go on for?
8 weeks.
This is 8 weeks.
Yeah. And I was actually, like, I was in such a bad mental headspace that I had really bad moments. Like, I basically cleared up the whole caravan one night, just like I locked the door from the inside and I just threw everything around. I was like, I've lost the plot. I've fully lost the plot. This guy drives me against the wall. And then the next day, I think we were standing in the paddock because there was like heaps of skeleton meat. And then he was standing like 200, like maybe not 200, maybe like 100 meters away from me, next to my partner. And the farmer starts screaming at me because he's trying to tell me something, but he's standing so far away that I don't fucking know what he's saying, And I just like turned around and I just screamed from the bottom of my soul, "You don't fucking shout at me ever again." Like, and my partner just stood next to him and he was just like, uh-oh. And then I was shaking.
Jana.
Yeah, I was like shaking. I was crying. I was like, oh my God. And then, next time we saw skeleton weed, he comes up to me, like the farmer, and goes, "I'm really sorry about that." He would be the biggest cunt in the world, and then he would come up to you and be like the nicest person. And you're like, I'm done. Like, I can't.
Is this why it went on for 8 weeks? Because as much as he was a cunt, like, he would come and sort of apologize to people, and then she's like, "Oh, maybe he's fine now." So it was this constant repeat of him going from absolute cunt to sort of apologetic that you thought maybe that was it.
And I felt sorry, every time he apologized, I'd be like, oh fuck, like he probably means it, and then I get home and I'm like, I turn into him, I'm like the craziest psychopath in the world, and the next moment I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I just like lost the plot, but it was, I was asking my partner to leave. I was like, I need to go, like I can't be here anymore. And he was like, I've got to get my farm days done. And I was like, can we not just like go to Pemberton? I'd rather pick fruit than keep doing this. And he was like, yeah, but we're already here. And I was like, all right, I'm going to Perth this weekend. I'm seeing my psychologist because I can't do this anymore. And then it was the build up to Christmas. It was October, November, December. And then it was that we should have worked till the 23rd of December and then had the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th off, come back in between like Christmas and New Year's, and then go back after New Year's for 2 months. No, like definitely not. So I was like, it was the 23rd. I woke up in the morning. I was like, I'm not going to work. Tomorrow's Christmas. I'm not going to ruin Christmas for myself. Like, just go into this place. Like, I don't care. If I don't get my farm days done, I don't get my farm days done. I'm not going through hell and being treated like shit just to stay in Australia. Like, it's not worth it. Yep. There's more beautiful places. And so then my partner calculated all of his farm days and stuff like that, I think, while he was at work that day. And he messaged me at like 10, pack up the caravan, we're leaving today, I'm done. And I was like, yes. I packed everything. He got back. I put everything in the car and we left.
No heartfelt goodbyes to the...
To the others, yeah, it was but everyone was just buzzing that we got to leave, because everyone was like I don't know why everyone stayed.
Felt stuck, yeah.
Yeah, you felt stuck. You felt like that was your only choice for whatever reason.
But you said before, so you knew that there was picking jobs in Pemberton?
Yeah, I knew that, but I also...
Was there someone that you could call?
Nah, I would have just driven there. But I don't care, I would have just gone there and be like, I need work. Like, I do whatever, just not that. Not sitting in the car 10 hours a day and looking and going crazy because you're looking at fields and weeds and you're getting shouted at all the time. Like, I knew that there's good farm jobs out there and I knew that this isn't the only opportunity, but yeah.
Another maybe down the camera. You really are treated poorly. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, seriously, it's not worth it. No. It's just not worth it. Like, fuck them. It's not worth your own mental health or your own, like, I stopped eating, like, fully. I didn't eat for like weeks. I came back and I was like, everyone was like, you're nothing. And I'm like, well, I've been through everything. Like, I could have handled it better, for sure. Could have just left. Should have, 100%. But
hindsight.
Yeah. You live and you learn. So that's why that was probably one of the biggest lessons I learned. That's what I said in the beginning. Like, if it's not for you, the job, if you get treated like shit, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Like, no one has the right to do that, like I always thought they employing me, like, I'm doing that for them. Like, I can get any other job. Like, they want something from me. They want me to sit in that car and look out the window, like, so they surely want me to be there. Like, so why are you treating me like this, And after that, I was just a bit done with everything. And that's when I went to Tassie. I was like, I'm going by myself. And I'm not looking back. Like, that's it.
How quickly into the Tasmania trip did you start to shed that load that had probably been on you?
Very quickly, actually. I feel like it shed the moment we drove out of the caravan park that we lived on at the farm. Like, all our friends were like standing there just like waving to us, and I was like, yeah. I was like, bye, see you never.
So at the moment, are you guys still in contact with anyone from, I guess, that experience?
Nah.
Okay. And the Tasmania girl, in contact with her?
Yeah, she's in Perth at the moment. I'm gonna see her soon. It's hard to keep in touch with everyone. It's actually really sad. Especially my quarantine time in the hostel. First of all, I don't have any photos, like none. 3 months, like no photos of the parties, no photos of the people.
But surely there was one person. There's always one person that just non-stop photos.
Yeah, that's true. But it was such, yeah. And I feel like they have sent them into the groups and stuff. But I go through my camera roll and I'm like, well, I didn't do much, did I? Like, could have documented some of it for sure. But it was also, you felt bad for, all your friends at home that are stuck and you're having such a good time. I was like, oh, party.
Unlucky for them.
Yeah. But what was I saying? Totally lost the plot.
That's all right. Sounds like it's happened a few times in Australia, so what's one more at this point in time anyway? We'll just go a couple sort of quick fire ones as well at the moment. You've been to a few different places around at the moment, so very quick. What's the best beach?
Exmouth.
Exmouth, okay, no worries. And we probably already touched on this one, so I think I know where it's going to be, but best hiking?
Cradle Mountain.
Cradle Mountain, cool.
Or where did I just go recently? Carragini, unreal.
Where should someone fly into?
Perth.
Perth. Victory.
Do the West Coast first, 100%. Like, the East Coast is nice, but you gotta know what you're missing out on before you go over there, you know? Everyone goes to the East Coast first. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm like, yeah, it's all popular and it's all beautiful. I agree 100%. But like the West Coast is just, for me, is just special because it is so remote.
It's kind of like any country, you sort of know about the capitals the most.
Yeah.
You kind of will largely go to the capital and then from there go, okay, where do I go?
I mean, that's what I did. I went to Sydney and I was like, oh my God. I wish I would have come to Perth because it wasn't so overwhelming because it's not really a big city, is it? Like,
so should you buy a car or not buy a car?
definitely buy a car.
Did you buy one?
Yeah. I had a Suzuki Swift.
Nice.
First. That was my city car and I took it on a road trip and it absolutely broke down on me. Like,
Okay.
in the
Luckily,
middle of
you're
nowhere.
a mechanic though, so you got plenty
Yeah.
of.
I actually paid someone $500 and it didn't fix the problem. So I drove from Albany to Perth 7 hours in first gear.
In first gear.
First and second gear. I was not driving faster than 20 kilometers per hour.
That would have taken a little bit of time.
Yeah.
At least it's it's quite scenic.
It's quite scenic, but it's uphill a lot
Yeah.
with a car that has no power.
I'm just more worried about the cars behind. They're constantly just beeping on the way past or something.
I was driving my hazard lights on the whole time.
Okay.
I was like, sorry guys, there's nothing I can do. You know, we would go out. It was me and like 3 other girls in the car and all our luggage. And every time we would go downhill, you know, we would like lean forward so we give the car a push. You know, it was like that. And the boys just fucked off. Like they were driving in front of me and they just did not care. Because yeah, smart for them, sad for me. I was like, can you not like pull me or something? Like, do we not have a rope? But yeah, they got there like 3.5 hours before us. And then I got back to the hostel and it was fully booked. And I was the only one that didn't have a bed. And I was like, I was the only one that was supposed to come back. They all wanted to go to Melbourne. Like,
So fuck you guys.
yeah. Yeah, luckily I was seeing one of the guys. So I was like, oh, just go into your bed. But, you know, like, traveling it doesn't always go as you plan it. It actually never goes how you plan it, really. There's always something going on.
I was going to say, yeah, rarely. But that adds to the story and the flavour of it and everything.
Exactly. It's kind of, yeah, that's the fun of it.
So buy a car, but maybe buy a car
That's suitable.
that's going to go long distances.
Yeah. I would either buy a van or a 4-wheel drive. I've got a van now. I did have a Nissan Patrol.
Real upgrade.
Yeah, but I don't know which one I like more. Because, like, the van is nice and everything. And it's super easy and handy. But the Patrol is just such a beast. Like, you know, you can go anywhere. Pajeros are also pretty good. But, yeah. Van and 4-wheel drives, like big 4-wheel drives, I find, as long as they don't waste too much fuel because it's expensive. But
okay, what's your sort of top 2? You're coming here, you need to quickly find a job to get a bit of fast cash. What would be your recommendations?
Saturdays and Sundays in hospitality are pretty good.
Pay and a half and then double pay.
Yeah. But I did a bit of everything. I did mining, which is obviously your cash is going to flow. If you want to go on a road trip in a month, like just go do 2 swings on the mines and you're fine, you know, like.
How did you get the job at the mines?
Just through an agency. Now I would probably try and just apply at the company itself because they pay better and they actually provide you with all the work uniform and they pay for your medical. I had to pay for that myself. So that was like $500 taken out of my first paycheck.
Did you have to get a white card or a forklift license or anything like that?
White card. Yeah, it was white card, RSA, and
Barista course?
I did my barista course. I did my food handling certificate for working in the kitchen. Did that on the mines as well. But otherwise, like, yeah, mining and just hospitality for me. I know, like, all the boys are working in construction, which is also pretty good. But really, with jobs, I feel like you should just take every special opportunity that you can get. For me, like, after that farm experience, I was like, I went to Tasmania and wasn't ready to work because I was so traumatized. Yeah. I was just like, I'm not gonna like just get any job, I just wait and it will come to me. I was like, I'm just gonna walk around again, just walk everywhere and see if there's a cafe that I think is really beautiful. And I went to a beach in the next suburb over, and I walked past this bohemian coffee shop that had a retail shop, and I was like, wow, like, this is beautiful. I went in the next day, asked for a trial, and I got hired the next day. So it's kind of like, just trust your gut again. Yeah. Like, don't just go for anything. Like, just wait until it feels right.
Particularly now, everyone is desperate for people.
Especially now, it's crazy. Like, you can work anywhere. Like, when I first got to Australia, going to the mines was like hardly anyone got in, But now everyone's in. Like, there's so many miners at the hostel. There's so many people doing all sorts of jobs, and it's actually really good. Like, I've heard before I came to Australia that it's really hard to find jobs. So, like, you can have a good time in hospitality for sure. It's good pay. Like,
I think pretty much any job that you want at the moment, you can pretty well get.
Yeah.
If you're a cook or a chef, you're wanted everywhere. If you're a barista, you're wanted everywhere.
Yeah.
If you can serve drinks, you're wanted everywhere. If you got the white card, you're pretty much wanted everywhere. If you got a forklift license, you can definitely work anywhere. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity there. When you first came, what bank did you set up with?
Westpac.
Westpac?
Yeah, I don't know why though, to be honest. But yeah, I've have my card ever since. It expires next year, which is crazy. I'm like, I've been here that long. My bank card is expiring.
Shit.
Yeah. But that was a challenge. You come to a new country and you're like, oh my God, I have to set up a bank account. Like, I didn't even do that in Germany,
Again, I don't know all the places you've been, but do you have a top three hostels in no particular order, or you can order them if you like?
Well, in Noosa, I think that's Cairns, number 3, Summer House Backpackers.
Shout out to Summer House, well done.
Yeah. It's actually really nice. Like, it's got a good family vibe. I find it really weird that on the East Coast they have bars in the hostel, like public bars. Like, I think that's a bit strange that you just have like random people walking into your home. But then at the same time, it can be also quite nice because you obviously meet more people. Number 2 is in Noosa. I don't actually know. I feel like it's something called with dolphin something. Super like tropical. There's like banana trees and all that kind of stuff everywhere around the hostel. It's like literally like 2-story houses, like in like one area, and then in the middle is a common area where everyone cooks, and it's super close to the beach, like 5 minutes maybe walking distance. That's always really important. Like, just make sure the beach is there. Like, you don't want to, I don't know. I would personally not stay in a hostel like in the CBD here, or I probably wouldn't stay in a hostel in the CBD anywhere anymore, just because I just personally don't like it. It's just, you're just in the CBD surrounded by houses. I just like seeing some sort of nature, I guess.
Beach or nothing.
Yeah. And then obviously, well, number 1 is the old fire station backpackers, just because I live there, I work there. I've got a lot of time for that place. So it's 2 minutes away from the beach. It's right at the ferry port to Rottnest Island. It's right in the heart of Frio. You've got everything, I find. It's a good vibe. I've actually heard that Arts Factory in Byron Bay is really good, but I have not been there.
Okay.
So I feel like that's the number one.
Congratulations. Top 3 hostels for Jana.
Yeah. Nah, they're all pretty nice. You can obviously, Tasmania is not a good place for hostels. They don't really have great hostels. So maybe just...
Probably because it's free camping everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really expensive. Like, I paid $270 a week in Tassie for my 6 bunk bed.
It's more expensive than my rent.
Yeah, exactly. Same. And I live in a 3-bedroom house. Like, Jesus. But nah, that's really expensive. So it's probably easier to just rent an Airbnb. It always just depends on, who you're with and what you want, really.
I was going to say, so if you had the choice between, did you ever do any couch surfing as well?
Never did couch surfing.
Never did couch surfing. For those who don't know, couch surfing is basically like a place that you can find like hosts and just sleep supposedly on their couch for free.
Yeah.
Maybe in exchange for some work, or maybe it's just not even in exchange for anything at all. So couch surfing, we'll count that out. So Airbnb v hostel versus the place you're currently now renting.
Oh God, the place I'm currently renting is not great.
We'll count that one out.
Nah, I would always stay in a hostel, I think. Like, I mean, I've stayed at the OFS for a long time, so I was ready to just live in my own space. It gets a lot after a year or so. Like, you're just like, I just want a fridge. Like, oh my God, like not having everything in a bloody bag, and having to pull out everything to just get to the bottom to get your butter out or something like that. It's like, what the fuck?
I always leave my butter at the bottom of my bag.
Always. Everything that you need is always at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember when I was in Mission Beach, we had a bit of a funny time in Cairns where our food bag in the hostel got stolen, and we woke up super hungover and didn't have any food. And I was just like, great. And then I had
taken by some other hungover people.
Yeah. She was totally fucked off her head. She you can see her on the cameras walking down the stairs, just opening the fridge and just taking the first bag and just walked. And it was the girl that we had that we smoked with that same day. Like, we knew her, but she just accidentally took one bag and it was ours. We got the money back, so it kind of turned out to be super funny, but I was just like, oh my God. So then when we moved to Mission Beach on the East Coast, I've got the opportunity, my boss in the coffee shop offered me to move into her beach house. It was really expensive, but I lived in a beach house.
Pretty cool.
I was like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm going to take it.
Just so you can tell everyone as well. I was like, where are you at the moment? I'm living in a beach house.
Yeah, I can see the beach from my bedroom window. So that was unreal. But I remember the most exciting part about that was literally the fridge. I was like, wow. I can't believe that I can go to the supermarket and put all my things just in the fridge, not in a bag, not, trying to find space to even put it in the fridge. No, the whole fridge is mine. Like, how amazing.
Who knew that would be so exciting?
Yeah, it's true. That's what you learn on the road, I guess.
The little things.
Yeah, simple things become very exciting again, like running water and a shower and a toilet that's clean.
With your own toilet paper as well?
Oh, yeah. Also.
Not the manky stuff.
Not the one layer stuff that rips open everything,
One ply is not the way forward.
Oh no, and
avoid at all costs.
It already looks so grey and
not good. Particularly if it's been in a public toilet and it gets a bit damp and Bring your own toilet paper.
Definitely, always have toilet paper. Who gives a crap? Not sponsored. Who gives a crap is good.
I was going to say, you would have been here during the time of the great toilet paper pillaging of our stores. It was one of the few things, or one of the, maybe many, I don't even know, but Australia obviously made news coverage around the world for our love of ensuring we got huge, vast stockpiles of toilet paper. So who gives a crap? Who gives a crap? So isn't it 12 months or 6 months worth of
Yeah, 12 months. And it's actually really
They just
good.
don't know how much I crap. That's
Yeah, that's the problem. Neither. I'm like, how much do I get? Nah, like we should all do it. Just like they send it in this huge box, and it looks colorful. It feels nice. I don't know. It's
put it in the back of the car.
Yeah, it's always there. Always have like 2 or 3 toilet rolls with you. I think that's quite important on the road. Obviously, because the chances that there isn't a toilet is quite high.
Yeah, a couple holes need to be dug sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I did that once on the beach.
Nice.
That was the best.
Enjoyable
ever.
experience?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't done a squatty beforehand, it's actually one of the best experiences, and this sounds disgusting. We don't need to hang on for it for too long.
No, but it's a must, I think.
Seeing as we're doing product placements at the moment, again, all unsponsored, but there's actually something called a squatty potty. Now, I don't know if this is really a travel thing. You can pretty much get anything that lifts your feet up, but it helps with everything moving through with less tension.
True.
And that's why doing a little squatty, particularly out in nature, very cool. Everything just kind of comes out very nicely and you just have a great time of it. And then you're also not in a kind of disgusting bathroom, you're outside. So
that's the thing. I actually enjoy it much more. Like not the big thing, but like just, when we're driving, like when we drove to Karijini, for example, it's just 15 hours in a straight road. And there is nothing, like literally nothing. So I enjoy it much more to just be like, oh, wait, I need to pee. And like my partner just pulls over and I just open the door. That's my like cubicle, the door, and I just squat and then that's it. And we just keep going. Like how easy. I don't have to like worry about germs or anything. I just like do my thing and we just keep going. Like, fuck the toilets. They gross and they stink. And there's,
so avoid the toilets where you can.
Yeah, and just use
the squatty. It's totally fine. So speaking of things that you might want to take with you, so whether it be a road trip, do you have an item that you're currently like in love with that you think like, oh, I can't believe I didn't have this beforehand, or maybe it was a recent purchase?
I got the biggest camping chair for my birthday.
Nice.
And it's unreal. I never thought I'd be so excited about a camping chair, but it's a moon chair. So I could technically sleep in it. It's round. It's bigger than myself. And if I sit in it, I literally just, I'm like so comfortable. And also a carpet. Like we have traveled. Yeah, I know. It's weird. But especially if you're going up north and like all the red dust and stuff, we just took an old carpet, rolled it up, strapped it to the roof, and then we just like got to Karijini and we just put it in front of the van and put all the table and the camping chairs on there, and like it's perfect.
Genius.
Because you're not, your feet are like, it's soft ground. You don't have to walk on all these fucking horrible little rocks.
Being outside sucks. Bring a carpet.
Definitely.
We want the indoors, outdoors.
Yeah. But no, it's just like, it's the perfect size to just have like a little living room, basically, in front of your
camping chair, carpet.
Or like people take tubs, Yeah.
But the carpet's way cooler.
Way cooler and soft. Why would you not want something soft?
No, totally agree.
And toilet paper, obviously. Stoves, so you can cook. And heaps of water, always. Water is, I think, the main thing that you should be aware of to have, because it's not always accessible everywhere.
No, we've got a lot of road, particularly over in WA, and you can be quite far from Roadhouse. They're getting better now, so along the Nullarbor, there's one,
There is one?
There's a few along the Nullarbor now.
Nice.
But you could be 100 to 200 Ks away from one.
Yeah, that's like up, definitely. The only stop you do is like the Roadhouses. That's it.
Any other close calls? You had one car that obviously didn't do so well. The Swift died on you.
It did. But that's all my other cars have been pretty good because I didn't choose them.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
Get someone else to do that one for you.
Yeah, that's it. Like if you buying cars, I find very difficult. I bought the Swift from like a dealer, which I would never ever do again. Like, because it's always more expensive and the prices for cars have gone up anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's always good to have someone check it with you, like a mechanic or someone that at least knows what a car should look like from the inside, because
Yeah.
I don't actually know what I'm looking at. So
Nobody does.
yeah, exactly.
When the car looks like it's struggling, you just open up the hood and just pretend to fiddle around with a few things. And then as long as you look the part, then hopefully when you close it back up and you start driving and you're all good.
It should, yeah.
That's not advice, actually, definitely. It's not going to do anything.
No, but yeah, if there's always someone around, especially in hostels that know something.
Couple more to go. Jana, what provider did you go with in terms of your phone? Telstra.
Well, I'm not actually with Telstra, but they using Telstra posts.
Towers.
So it's like it's called Boost. I got it at the airport. That was the only thing that I could get, and it's Telstra coverage, and it's actually really good. I've got internet everywhere because Telstra is actually, I think, the only provider where you can get reception past Geraldton.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everything else. I remember the first road trip with my partner. He lost all reception from Geraldton and further up, so he didn't have reception for like 2-3 weeks. So his family would call me, because I did.
Yeah, it's probably it definitely gets written about a lot, but Telstra, if you're big into your camping, traveling around, it's probably the only one that has the coverage you need.
Yeah.
Just to be able to stay in touch.
Definitely.
So, well done. Probably a good choice.
Yeah.
Again, unsponsored.
Unfortunately.
Telstra. Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, and final couple of things, as I said, is do you have any advice for, there are people right now that are finishing up school. They're the 18-year-old Jana that's coming in. Did you guys finish school around 18?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they're coming out 18. Some people are thinking about gap year. You might be a little bit older, 22, you've been working a job, you're thinking about, maybe traveling. Like, what sort of advice would you potentially give a young Jana thinking about coming here?
Just fucking go. Like, don't wait. Just go. Like, what? Like, why not? What are you waiting for? It's just go. If you're thinking about it, if you want to do it, give everything up and just go. Like, as soon as you do that, you will be rewarded 100%. If you go out of your comfort zone, you're gonna get it back. Like, that's all I can say to myself. Even when you came in, I was so terrified. The same night, I was like, oh my God, I said yes to a podcast. Help. Like, what have I done? And then I was like, no, man, like, this is an opportunity. Take it, And I mean, we've been talking for, I don't know, a long time. Yeah. And it's good. It's great to share that, so.
No, it's been awesome. And just before you go, where can people, I guess, find you? But also, where are you? Maybe just before that, where is Jana headed off to next? We sort of spoke a little bit about it before jumping down, but is Jana off again? What's she doing?
I will be off again. I'll be going to Germany very soon. As I said, I just want to go home at the moment, see my family because my grandpa is really sick. And then I want to see my best friend that left Australia as COVID hit. We had a fight about it. I'm very upset she left.
How dare you? What's her name?
Hannah.
How dare you, Hannah?
She has to come back. So, yeah, no, I want to see her 100% because since she left, we said, we're going to see each other soon. And in March, it's going to be 3 years and I'm not having it anymore. Like, we can't just keep FaceTiming for 5 hours, it's beautiful because it's probably one of the best connections that I've made. But yeah, my plan is to see her in November. We might go to Albania or somewhere in Europe. I might take her back here and be like, I'm taking you.
Oh no! Oh no! You have to come to Australia.
What a
Terrible.
shame. And then next year I want to do my yoga instructor teacher course. I want to do a silent meditation for a week. I want to do. We've been invited to our friend's 30th birthday in Namibia next year in May. So I'm gonna go there.
That's a big yes.
Yeah, that's a big yes. 100%. He said to us, if you're coming, you've got to do exactly what you've been told, because that's how it works there. If you don't do what we tell you, you'll be dead. I'm like, oh. Wow.
Is that a threat?
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
No, but I get it. Like, it's dangerous, but I'm so excited. And again, like, might just die tomorrow, so might as well not worry too much about everything else.
Yeah, exactly. And for everyone that's like listening to you, Jana, and maybe wants to see you continuing on and hopefully not getting hit by a bus tomorrow, but maybe making Namibia and doing yoga courses, do you want people to be able to reach out to you, or you prefer not?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Okay.
I mean, taking every opportunity I can get, like.
So are you a big person on Instagram, or?
Not really. I've got my page, but it's quite. I post my pictures from my travels, but I don't put much effort into, showing it to everyone. I believe if it's meant to be, it will happen one day. I don't know if I really want it to. At the moment, I can't really put the effort into it. I've got to work on myself before I work on my Instagram page.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, if there is something there, we'll just put it in the notes below. But otherwise, it's been really nice to speak with you, Jana. Thanks for stopping along. And we should definitely, if you're ever in the area again, whether it be a couple spins around the sun, hopefully we can do it again.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. It was really nice.
No worries. All right.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Thanks, Jana.
No
That
worries.
was my line. God damn it. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
When we jumped offline, we sort of touched on the fact that we didn't really talk much about what has happened across the world, of course, past 2 years. I think $5 says there's one more. Because normally if I bet on something, I never win.
Yeah.
So I figure.
So that's good.
So if I put it on that way, we should get away with this now.
All right.
Okay, so quick rehash in case we need to cut just what happened. We've got someone drilling down below, so occasionally a bit of sounds coming over the top. But we just touched on the fact that Australia, over the pandemic years, backpackers were given a bit of a raw end of the stick, raw end of the deal, and kind of neglected throughout. Maybe we're a bit of a scapegoat, and Jana actually went through a bit of hotel quarantine. So anyway, we're back. We just wanted to quickly find out a little about that experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's been crazy because I feel like I've had two completely different experiences. I've had the quarantine in the hostel where we were actually allowed to just be, and we had our own rules. We were only allowed to go out in pairs. We had to shower before we walk into the hostel, because there was a shower that you could access from outside. So everyone had to finish work, go and shower, and then was allowed in the hostel. And no one was allowed in from a particular day on. And if you left the hostel, you were not allowed to check back in again. So it was literally you either stay or you go. Which was just regulated by the hostel owner, nothing with the government. The government didn't do anything, which is fair enough because nobody knew what to do,
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like I didn't really got much in touch with COVID and the whole pandemic until actually Christmas, just gone. So what was it, 2021 Christmas? Yep. Yeah. And that was that was so unexpected. You wake up on the 23rd of December, you're just ready for Christmas, really. Everyone's getting pumped. The hostels obviously creating a big Christmas because we don't have our families. We don't have anywhere to go. You know, we have just us. So, of course, we're going to celebrate Christmas together. And it's like 3 days where you just, you know, you're just together, like all of you. And everyone's participating. And it's just a big family thing. It's beautiful. Like, so we got everything ready. And on the 23rd, it was like, oh, somebody got tested positive for COVID. But he's checked out. Like, he's not here anymore. So the hostel, actually, we went into 24-hour lockdown. Like, because we were like, well, we all just get tested. And then, like, whoever is positive has got to, like, you know, obviously go somewhere else. And we actually had a quarantine room. There's like, it's like a 4-bed dorm with a bathroom. So
you're positive with COVID. Get out of here.
Yeah. And then we all got tested, you know, nobody was allowed to leave. Nobody was allowed to come back in.
And was that sorry, that was the hostel's directives?
Yeah.
Or that was, okay.
No. That was like our boss, my now boss saying we're going to go into a 24-hour lockdown and we're all going to get tested because it's the right thing to do. Was the right thing to do until the media found out that there was a positive case. So they were in front of the hostel. And that's when it all kind of just went downhill. Like, it was the 23rd evening. All right, yeah, whatever. We're going to get the test results tomorrow. Woke up the next day, Christmas Eve day, you know, which is the biggest thing for me because it's Christmas Eve. That's when we celebrate Christmas at home. And then we all got the test results back. Negative. Everyone was negative. It was PCR tests, like, you know.
Gold standard.
Yeah, what more do you want? Like, you've got 80 negative tests, right? And then because the media found out, the police was there from 9 o'clock in the morning, standing in front of the door and being like, you're not allowed to leave. And we were just like, what do you mean? My partner got a coffee that morning at 8:30. He walked to the coffee shop because he got the text, oh, you're negative. Sick. Like, we can go. Like, we're free, you know? And he got a coffee, came back. Police came around the whole building. The media was in front of the hostel all day. There was a helicopter flying above the hostel. I was like...
Just in the case they didn't have enough visuals of you.
I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, what do you want? It's just like, surely, like, why is this such a big deal right now? Yep. You know, that's just what I was asking myself the whole time. And then we were literally fighting. We were blocking the doors. We were writing on the concrete in the courtyard, let us stay. So the helicopter from above actually captured that. And
smart.
Yeah. And we were just, everyone started just to fucking party. Like, everyone was like, we don't know how this is going to end. We're just going to fucking go. Like, let's go. We turned the music up, the police out the front, obviously, like trying to get in. We put the couch in front of the front door. We locked the back gate. We just fully shut down. And because I'm really good friends with the owner of the hostel and, yeah, my boss now, I was in touch with them the whole time. So they would speak to police and then they would tell me and my partner what's going on, what they're saying, and then we would have to tell everyone else. Well, tell everyone, 80 people, that Christmas Eve has gone to absolute dog poo and we're all going to get put into hotel quarantine for whatever reason. Like,
even though you're already...
Even though we're all negative. And we partied until 7 p.m. And the police the police came on the fence from the fire station next to us and was like, if you're not out here in half an hour, you're going to be arrested. So everyone was like, okay, I guess this is it now. There was people that was so fucked that they did not take anything. They just took themselves and got on the bus, and we didn't know where we were going. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen. It was just like, you're going somewhere, but you can't stay in the hostel. We were like, why can't we just like stay here and just not leave? Like, why can't we all just
do that?
It's Christmas. Like, what are you doing? You know? And the police was like, I was actually on the phone with my friend, my boss, when she was talking to the police, and the police was actually on our side. They were like, yeah, there's no point in putting them in hotel quarantine because it's Christmas and like we just want to go and celebrate Christmas with our families. But we were obviously not wanting to leave the hostel, so we just tried to like, you know, try and push it back as far as possible. And then
peaceful protesting is what I might term it as.
Peaceful and
peaceful partying protest.
Yeah. I think everyone got just extra up there just to, you know.
How do you think the media found out?
Rats. I think somebody from another hostel called, because there was someone staying at our hostel for a couple of days, then going to another hostel for a couple of days, then coming back to our hostel for a couple of days. So I believe that person from that one hostel kind of tipped it off. It could have been my boss from the cafe at the time, because I called her and I was like, there's a COVID case in the hostel, and we're all like, that was on the 23rd, so when we hadn't had the results yet and I was supposed to work the next day, I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to come because I don't know what my test result is like in the morning. And she was like, yeah, I need you to quarantine for 2 months anyway because you might kill my daughter. And I was like, okay, bye. Never see you again. Like, I was so shocked, you know, and I believe that somebody just tipped us off. Because, you know, like, backpackers come and go and they go to hostels. Like, if it was us, it should have been every single hostel in Perth and in Fremantle. You know what I mean? Just because the community is so big and so, like, interchanging that everyone is in contact with everyone. There was no way that it was just us, you know? And it was, yeah, we all kind of just got on the bus, didn't know where we were going, didn't know how long we're going to be gone for, didn't know we didn't know anything.
Did they tell you bring a suitcase, or did they tell you to bring some stuff?
Not they were just saying you're going into hotel quarantine.
So how long did the standoff last for? So the media arrives, the police are at the front door, and then they're basically telling you, you're going to go to hotel quarantine, at which point you initially start going, well, we may as well enjoy whatever time we have together here, start partying.
To be honest, they started at 9 a.m. when the police was in front of the door, because it was like, I had hope, because I've heard the police saying, yeah, there's no point in putting them into hotel quarantine. I was like, yeah, there is no fucking point. Like, literally, just let us be here, you know? If one of us gets COVID, we're all going to get it, and then that's our problem. You don't give a shit about us anyway. You know what I mean? Kind of like that. Like, why they paid for 88 people to be in hotel quarantine. That is $2,500. On top, we got $750 for not being able to work. I could have made $3,000 over Christmas working public holiday and everything. I was supposed to work that whole 10 days, you know, and it was, I was like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, you know, we got to the hotel at midnight. And the crazy thing was that if you weren't coupled up, like actually a love relationship, you were not allowed to go with anyone. So you had to go by yourself, or you had to pretend that you're either gay or in a relationship. There was girls by themselves that just absolutely lost the plot. Like, you know, for 2 weeks, I was questioning, everything.
Yeah.
I had some outbursts in the hotel room where my partner called the nurse and was like, she's like hyperventilating, I don't know what to do. And the nurse was just like, oh, there's other people that have it much worse than you. And I was just like, hang up the phone. Hang up the fucking phone. I can't hear it, you know? Like, that's a nurse. Like, that's not the right thing to say, you know, when you're in a bad headspace. But on the other side, I don't just want to talk it all bad. We grew together as a family, the 88 of us. We FaceTimed, like, I had my FaceTime with like 16 people. We celebrated New Year's Eve on FaceTime. I seen the fireworks from my hotel window, you know, like the party after when we got out was the best party I'll ever have in my life. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. I just danced for 8 hours straight and everyone was so happy. It was unreal. There's a video of all of us coming back and it's just, yeah, it was the best feeling ever. We did not smell or had fresh air for 14 days. There was no window. That in itself, I was like, how can you deny me fresh air? Like, just air conditioning for 2 weeks. I was like, this is
rough,
crazy. Like, I'm sure people had it worse, you know, and I've read the newspaper articles where they went on our Instagram and took out our stories from hotel quarantine and said, oh, 5-star hotel, the backpackers are enjoying Christmas and New Year's. What do you mean? We're enjoying a 5-star hotel. I'm never going to stay in a hotel ever again. Never. I'm over it. Like, I cannot, you know. And it was definitely not enjoyable because the food was disgusting. Like, the dietary, like, plans weren't met at all, you know, like.
Did they tell you, or did anyone give you an explanation as to why you had to be taken to, with quotation marks, had to be taken to hotel quarantine?
No. Nothing.
Because it sounds a little bit absurd. I think everyone's negative on the PCR. You're all in the same location anyway.
Yeah.
And it seems to be purely just as a result of being international travelers.
Yeah.
Was there some sort of like, I don't even know, but was there some sort of, if you're not a permanent resident or an Australian citizen, hotel quarantine is like the standard? Like,
no, even reception staff that worked that day, she had her own house. She was living in an apartment with her dog by herself and she was not allowed to go home. She was the last one to get out of hotel quarantine and she's a local. That blew my mind. Trust me, every day I was questioning, I was trying for it to make sense. I was really trying. I was going through everything. It turned me crazy. It turned me so crazy that I ripped down the curtain in the hotel room. Like, I just grabbed it and I ripped it because, like, eventually you're just like, there is no sense in all of this. Like, we were all there. Like, why did we all have to go somewhere else, you know, over the most important time of the year where you want to be with your family that you don't have anyway with you, and all you have are the people that you're with, and then that gets taken away from you. And I've read some comments from people that were like, oh, go back where you belong to, or just feed them to the sharks. Sorry, but I actually like your country. Like,
yeah,
you know, I love it here. Why do I have to be fit to the sharks? You know, like,
comments are a dangerous game. Comments are, you just don't typically find the nice side of the internet when it comes to these things. No. The most vocal people are usually, at least from my experience and reading, are the people that have the biggest gripe or the biggest, you know, trigger of something. And so they're the ones that will express absolute disdain or hate. You get most reactions will be love or hate. online, because they're the only two major emotions I think that really compel people to say something online in the first place. If you're on the fence or you're like, oh, that's really unfair, and that doesn't compel you to go and write about something. It's only the people that are absolutely certain that they know what is right, what is wrong, that really have their opinions heard, which is why we get so much, I think, extreme out there. And it's a real shame as well, because from our vantage point, I mean, we are sympathetic towards backpackers, one being ourselves, but also the business that we have largely helps backpackers travel around, work, and really just live whatever life they actually want to live in Australia, with like some security there wherever they can sort of find it. And so seeing how it unfolded, it was really disappointing, and just how people would treat one another. And I mean, again, I'm in the fortunate position where I'm young, fit, healthy. I really was at such a low risk of the virus actually doing anything to me. Most of my family members were in the same boat, even mum and dad, like relatively fit, relatively young compared to where the mortality rate was. So on the whole, I was like, we really felt we should be, particularly at the end of 2021, when so many other places were really reducing removing their restrictions and starting to move towards like a more cohesive sort of living with it society. And I think that really just showed the amount of fear that was pumped into the system throughout, which
100%.
That unfortunately you don't see the best in people come out of that time.
And I don't really, I'm not denying, how many people have died and how bad it was in certain places and how horrible it was. But that does not mean that I'm that scared. Because if it's my day to die, it's my day to die. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can do. And I'd rather spend Christmas, with the people I love and maybe get sick and have the week after where I'm probably hungover anyway and just lay in bed and suffer than suffer for 14 days not knowing why I'm where I am, and go just question everything. I questioned life. I questioned people. I questioned everything, and it's not nowhere I want to be ever again, because I don't like not understanding what's going on and why it is the way it is, it just didn't really make a lot of sense. But brings people closer together, There was for sure there was also some positive stuff that came from it, even if it was just the party after, that we actually got out 3 days early because we all got tested and stuff. So
good behavior.
Yeah, good behavior. Yeah, not really. One person actually also went to prison because he had a mental breakdown and walked out of the hotel room, and he got arrested and put into prison for 3 weeks. Which that was also an experience. Obviously, he shouldn't have left, but also
people have their breaking points.
And that for sure was a breaking point for all of us, because it was heartbreaking. Even for my boss, she said she walked through the hostel empty, never been empty for the last 15, 17 years, how long they've had it. And it was traumatizing for everyone, in some way. Quarantine is for a lot of people, for sure. So I've tried afterwards, we got out, I'm seeing the positive, and I just don't really care anymore about what what the country thinks of backpackers or anything, because I know that we are quite valuable, and there's enough people that do really value us and what we do and what spirit we bring, so
also you're also people, so you have inherent value in the very fact that you walk the same earth as we do. And I look back on a lot of this time again, remained in a very fortunate circumstance. Really, although I got it eventually, I was pretty fine. Had the shots as well, had the vaccine. So, for the most part, I really didn't have a bad go of it. But my big takeaway really was we could really do with a shot of compassion for people in general, because nobody escaped that period in having no scars of any kind. And I think we definitely moved maybe towards a slightly more polarized society, but I'm really hoping that people's experiences, particularly things like in the quarantine, we can all imagine, even if you didn't do it, that is a pretty horrendous sort of time for anyone, let alone be it over Christmas, let alone when you actually doesn't seem to be a great reason why you should be there in the first place. Maybe a bit different if it was or seemed to be a good explanation as to why that should happen. But lacking that in particular, I think there's been maybe a few occasions. It's kind of like when I first came out of school and you start going to university and you start hearing all these things. You go like, how do you know that that's true? Like, and then eventually someone will tell you who knows something like, oh, by the way, like that thing that you'd learned, by the way, like that's actually not true. This is actually what's closer to the truth. It turns out that's also maybe closer to the truth, but it's still not the truth. And everyone's sort of guessing and doing the best that they can, but ultimately a lot of the time we're guessing. And
that's very true.
If we lack a good explanation, you can imagine you'd be confused, concerned.
Super confused. Like, I must say, like, it is, I mean, at the time, it was actually waking up, like, because we got to the hotel at midnight, and then we got a sandwich with egg. I remember I could like throw up of thinking about it, of this egg sandwich at midnight. And then you wake up the next morning on Christmas Day and you're just like, oh shit, it actually happened. Like, and but I'm seeing the good things. Same with the farm work, it all happens for a reason. And would have been nice to have an explanation, especially because I've been through a lockdown in that same place. Yeah, we didn't have a case, but it could have happened, so what would they have done then? I find it ridiculous that they paid so much money for us for nothing.
That's in the order of $160,000, maybe a bit more, of taxpayer money to house you guys in a new place where you were already housed beforehand.
Yeah.
Negative.
It was just also pointless.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we learn from these things, Jana. That's
I hope so too.
It's got to be the ultimate takeaway is thank you for sharing this, by the way, because it's obviously not a very fun time. And I'm glad to see that you're, I guess, able to look back on it and try and take away some positives from it. If you can deal with that, there's probably a lot of other things that don't seem nearly as difficult to manage maybe since then. So thank you anyway for sharing that and coming back down. So is there anything else that you had to add about the quarantine?
Quarantine can be fun.
Any good board games?
No, to be honest, we just all got very creative, I think. I know that one guy in hotel quarantine, he drew every single person from the hostel that was in quarantine. So now in reception, we have a book of all the faces that been in hotel quarantine, and we all FaceTimed and I don't know, I just lay in bed for most of the time, to be honest. I was like, what's the point in even getting up? But I don't know. It was also fun. But the 3 months before in the hostel was just the best. Nothing can ever get to that. So it's been special in both ways.
I'm really happy that there's some good touches on your stay in Australia, of course. And I think, and the message I get from a lot of people that have travelled around the country and stayed at different hostels is the transition from, really sort of finding your feet usually comes around the idea of like having friends and then if you're fortunate or you meet the right people, those friends becoming your family.
Yeah.
And from there, it seems to be like I guess that's why family is so important, but it gives you so much strength to go out and sort of, again, tackle the world, explore new places, knowing that you've got that group of people around you. So as bad as quarantine definitely would be, at least you had, as you said, 80 or 88 other people
Yeah.
all sort of now sharing that experience for the rest of your lives. That'll, be definitely a binding thing for you guys.
Like, the hugs that you got, like walking back into the hostel, we were all just so happy. It was crazy. Like, yeah, I can imagine a lot of people had that, when they got out, like maybe even in Italy, like thinking about how long they were locked away for, or everyone, like seeing I've heard that people met up in supermarkets, and just to see someone, like, so I can imagine it's been hard for everyone. But I've come to the realization before Christmas that we've got to move on, like, because the world keeps spinning. Like, there is no stopping. There is no, are we just going to lock everything down forever? Because where's that going to go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, you put us in hotel quarantine. What's that going to do? I'm going to get COVID at some point anyway, because everyone's going to get it, For me, that was my kind of realization where I was just like, I'd rather have it now, and see what it does.
I think a lot of people
just wait for it. Like, how horrible it is to just wait for it to happen, to get it. And then you always get it at the worst time ever, I got it the moment my brother arrived in Australia. The day he came, I was like, I have to go into 7 weeks quarantine.
Good timing. How long did you stay for?
3 weeks.
Okay. If you were going to say 7 days, I was going to be like, oh my God.
But then the second week, my partner got it. And then on my brother's flight back, he got it. So, and it doesn't come at a good time. Never comes at a good time. But
at least I think slowly but surely, I think the rest of the world seems to be opening up for the most part. In Australia, although slow in step behind, is at least, I think, pretty close to just being a bit more chill with the whole thing now.
Yeah, definitely.
That continues. Until the next one.
Until the next one, yeah, and until the next thing happens. Now, hopefully not. It's been a huge learning curve for everyone, I think. Nothing like that COVID hasn't happened before, so it was a new thing for everyone. And we all tried our best to manage it. I'm sure the government tried their best to manage it. There's always room for improvement, that's for sure. But
yeah, I think some hard-learned lessons came out of that period for just about everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm, again, very glad to see that you guys managed to stick around and continue to at least enjoy the country. I think I speak for a lot more people than those that were in the comments that were very, very happy you guys are actually here, happy and healthy. And a little bit of a apology, I guess, for some of the maybe poorer treatment. So thanks again, guys.
No, thank you, everyone. Like, having us here. It's unreal. The experience, it's beautiful. I've had the time of my life, for sure. Especially in the hostel and lockdown. Like, unreal. Just, yeah. So I definitely have many, many more good memories than bad memories, But as we all know, the negative ones always kind of peak out a little bit more sometimes.
Again, they're the ones where you can mine gold. You can find some of the lessons there. The other ones, they're just nice to look back on a lot of the time. And it's maybe the trickier ones which can probably help you most. It's that discomfort thing again.
100%.
Anyway, I think we'll end on that one, Jana.
Yeah. Definitely. I got to go to work.
But again, it's been an absolute pleasure. So we hope to see you around WA. Maybe you'll see me up on the coastline.
I hope
as well.
So. In Tasmania.
Tasmania as well, at the top of Cradle Mountain.
Yeah.
But otherwise, again, hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah, nice. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Jana.